I remember that at the time, my sister and I used to share the room, and because I had so many creepy crawlies, as she used to call it, on my study shelf, more than the books, it drove her out to another room to shift to another room. So now I had the room to myself.
Wow.
And I was told by my mom that it's all right, it's all right, whatever you're doing. It was around 8 or 9 years ago now that I was in Dehradun preparing for the entrance exam of the Doon School. And in the same apartment was Vijay, who was then a DOSCO in his 8th grade. And naturally we started hanging out a lot. And one fine day I saw him at the terrace with a pair of binoculars in his left hand, a huge camera on his right, and he was just concentrating in this one tree canopy for hours on end. And I went up to him and I was curious. I'm like, what are you trying to do? And that is when he told me about bird watching. So my initial reaction was like, okay, it's a boring old activity for boring old people. But I wasn't aware then that it was actually going to be what I will be doing for the next.
It's life-changing for
Yeah,
you.
it was a life-changing event for sure. So those were his words at first, that the wild is beyond description and you can only get to know about it when you go into the wild.
Yeah.
So I joined him for one of his bird walks and bird watching trails, and honestly, that is what changed my perception of what bird watching truly is, what kind of wildlife we have here in India, especially in Dehradun, and that is where my journey with birding really began.
I think they're all around you. It's just that we don't notice them to really step out and take a closer look.
Exactly. It was only when I had a conversation with Vijayaditya's father, who's also a really keen bird watcher, really good at it as well, who suggested that I buy my first pair of binoculars and my first bird guide, the Grimskip, the Birds of the Union Subcontinent. It's like a Bible for us.
Absolutely, a Bible for all the bird watchers.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, Silliguri is very near to the foothills of the Himalayas. So that entire range actually is very rich in species diversity of birds. And it also harbors multiple migrants in all seasons from different parts of the world. I started going here and there, bird watching here and there, and then I used to come back home and look at the bird guide and realize, okay, this is what I've seen. And at that point, the bird, it's I think this thick. And at that time, it looked like a boring old book. I'm like, I'm not going to read the entire thing or go through the entire thing to look for one bird.
Yeah.
But after so much practice, after so many years, it's like if you ask me to point out a bird in that book, a species of bird in that book, I can literally flip around and tell you where it rightly is.
Absolutely.
That's how much it means to us. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you are the member of the Nature, Engineering, Science and Technology, the NEST Society, in the school, Doon School. This is from June 2017 to May 2020, I think.
Yeah.
You hosted India's first virtual tree walk for the school community. What was this, and tell us more about it?
Right. So starting off with the NEST Society, the Nature, Engineering, Science and Technology Society, it was a student society in school where we aim to have an interest of the school community in these 4 subjects. So as part of that...
it's only for Doon School, or is it multiple schools are involved?
Yeah, I mean, we do have, we used to have a lot of inter-school events and things. And when everything went online during COVID, this is, I think, 2020 or 2021, we saw that the nature wing was lagging behind because there was nobody who could, the students couldn't go out of their homes and go around in nature because of the lockdown. So we decided that since everything's becoming online, why not we host the first virtual tree walk? So we reached out to Miss Kavita Prakash, who is an ex-DOSCO, and over the years she's been really interested and keen in the area of nature, environment, trees, birds, and butterflies.
Okay.
And in fact, really knowledgeable too.
All right.
Where she presented to us all the trees that were there, along with a picture of her on the field with those trees, a picture of that tree in school, so that once we're back in school, everybody can, go to that area and point out, that's the tree we're talking about. And a lot of information about those trees, so that people who are into, let's say, one aspect of nature, like maybe birds or butterflies, they could get to know more about the common or the rare kind of trees that we have in school and even around the houses at the time.
All right. So after this, in January 2019, you founded the Doon School Bird Monitoring Program.
Yeah.
And you led consistent morning trail walks for the initiative and established an eBird database for avifauna on the campus. So what exactly is this eBird database? How did the concept come in, the thought behind it, the initiative, the idea? Did you have any kind of supervision on it, or any? Tell us everything about it.
All right. So the Doon School Bird Monitoring Program was one of the initiatives of the Doon School Environment Committee. Now, since we have a huge campus called Chandbagh, it is very rich in flora and fauna. We needed a committee to be there that examines or that keeps check of the environmental well-being of school. So it was like a democratic process. There was a council or committee that used to sit, led by students and followed by masters and other faculty members, who used to decide what can be done to better preserve what we have in school and even introduce
the students, I believe, too. Yeah, okay.
So as part of that, we also had a rewilding initiative in which we were deplanting invasive species, getting into school the endemic, native species more of plants primarily that further attract pollinators like birds and butterflies and bees and everything.
All right.
So to track the changes that were about to come after that rewilding project, the best way to track that would be birds. Because where there is good flora, there is good fauna in terms of birds as well, the diversity and the number. So we needed somehow to track the kinds of birds that were coming into school during migration season, during the summers, throughout the year. So I reached out to Dr. Suhail Kadir, who is currently, I think, in the Wildlife Institute of India. And he walked me through what is called an eBird database. Now, for the audience, eBird is an application or a website by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology that keeps track of every bird sighting done by every bird watcher around the world. Now, let's say today you are to go for a bird walk. You see a couple of birds, you see which species they are of, and you write the number of those birds that you saw. You come home and then you enter all of that data online to this one huge database of birds called eBird. And we had been bird watching in school since I entered school, and even actually decades before as well. But I don't remember there being a proper database online. I mean, most of it was like old diaries where we had written down stuff, our notebooks, at the back of our notebooks after the bird walks and everything. But there was no one space where it was all...
it was not accumulated.
Accumulated.
Yeah.
So what I did was I found out all of these records that we had of the past, at least starting from when I was in school in 2016
Okay.
to I think around 2020 or 21.
All right.
And I took all of that data and I sat down one day. It took me weeks, yes. But I sat down one day and I put it all into eBird.
All right.
And that made us eligible to be declared an eBird hotspot. That
The school.
the
Wow.
campus, the Doon School eBird hotspot.
Wow.
That I believe is
So basically, the birds were always there.
Yeah.
It's just that nobody really documented them.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we all knew how many species
Yeah.
there might be. Or
True.
we had like an estimate,
Yeah.
and now we had a proper written down database.
True.
And we were declared the eBird hotspot with the help of Dr. Sohail Kadir. And it was a great achievement for school, definitely, because I think these days most of the hotspots that are there are majorly national parks or nature reserves. And
Yeah.
Chandbagh, the campus is one of them.
Wow.
So now that we had a database, we could start with proper monitoring of birds on campus. And so I took help of Dr. Sahas Barve,
Mhm.
who is currently in the United States studying acorn woodpeckers and other birds that
Okay.
I find super cool.
All right.
So yeah, there were a bunch of emails back and forth, as well as a Skype call and everything. And he guided me to form the Doon School Bird Monitoring Club, where we used to travel transect lines of around, I think, 20 meters in the span of 10 minutes, and then move on to another transect line. And this way, we used to cover the periphery of school as well as the insides and everything, while
So
properly...
something like making a grid.
Yeah, more or less, yes. While properly documenting, very scientifically documenting what birds we see every Sunday. Now, this is informally being done since any birdwatcher came to school. But now we were properly documenting it so that we can track whatever changes, hopefully for the better, are about to come.
All right. So in April 2019 to April 2021, you were on an exchange program, right, in the US, a student exchange program, where you were the project member of the Raven exhibit by the Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology, right? The Macedonia forest block.
Yeah.
And you were assisting ornithologists in banding birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is very interesting. I have seen birds that are banded. And if you're part of the process, I mean, wow. So please elaborate this. I mean, what exactly is banding of birds? How does it help? What does it mean? And is this where your perception from just being a bird watcher changed to going into a more in-depth study about the birds?
Right, definitely. So it all started in April 2019, as you mentioned. I had been chosen to go for an exchange program to the Marvelwood School in Connecticut for about a month or so.
Okay.
And the project went on for years after that. But when I did go there, one of the first conversations I had with the exchange coordinator there, she was trying to get to know about me. And I mentioned bird watching just as a hobby because that's what it was at then.
Yeah.
And then she mentioned that I'm lucky because the chair of the biology department of that school happened to be an ornithologist. So she immediately took me to this lady called Miss Laurie Doss,
All right.
who after that became my mentor, my teacher, somebody who really, led to a life-changing experience of understanding how birds are not only seen, but studied. And this is not only for birds, but all animals around the world. So I met Ms. Doss, and on the first few days of my exchange program, she took me to the field.
Okay.
And that is where she explained to me the process of bird banding. Now, for the audience, bird banding is when we set up mist nets, really fine nets that don't harm the birds at all. We catch those birds, we take them to the banding station, and we extract data. That is, we measure the length of their tails, the bills, the wings, multiple things like fat, cloacal protuberance, and after that, we put a ring on the bird that has a unique number, and then we let it off. So what happens then is that since you have the bird in the hand, it can represent most of the birds that are like it, around it, in that...
The same species,
it's the same species. So...
but like the ring has some kind of a microchip or something. How do you... can you kind of see where the bird is going? How do you...
Right. So the thing with banding is it helps in determining a lot of things like migration or molting or how birds change colors and where they go after they leave this place. So how that happens is that the ring that we put, it's a really light metal ring that we put on the right leg of the bird. It has a unique number on it, and it has the country which in which it was. It has the initials of the country in which it was put, I believe. So now, once, let's say somewhere in the US, let's say in Connecticut, we've banded the bird, and it after the migration season or during the migration season, it moves somewhere up north, and in another city, another bird bander catches that bird. It sees that it's a recapture. Now, that band that we put on it, we had noted down the number of it, we put it in this one database of bands that are there. Now, that bird watcher or that bird bander would look at the unique number on the bird band ID and go up to that database, and it can and the person can get to know all the information that we extracted from the bird. It could be years ago, it could be just yesterday that the bird was with us, now it's flown there.
So the information is put up somewhere where everybody, it's accessible to everybody. So because I was going to ask you that supposing you've banded a bird in say Canada and it has come to India or it's gone to Sri Lanka or something, and another bird a bander gets hold of the bird, how do you access the information? So there is a website, or there is some kind of a source?
So I think for different continents, they have different institutes. So for the US and for North America as a whole, Canada, US, Mexico, there is the Institute for Bird Populations, which keeps this whole database of whatever birds were captured and banded. And that is what serves as the database which scientists in the future use to do their studies, make conclusions, analyze the data and everything. So it gives us insights into multiple things, such as the migration of the bird, as I said, the molting of when the birds change their feathers into their breeding plumage.
So is there some amount of birds that you would band of one species? Is there some kind of number that you would band, or is it just...
So the protocol is to band all the birds that are caught in the net, because that's the way to go. That's the most birds you can band. And as long as you're noting down everything about the bird that you've seen before releasing it, I think you're supposed to do as protocol band and do that to every bird that has been caught.
So this banding happens just over a single day, or it happens over so you put the net up for say about a week or something like that? How is it?
Since the nets, when they are unsupervised, could be very lethal.
Absolutely,
So the nets are supervised every 10 minutes or in networks. So there are days of bandings, there are days of monitored bandings where the date and the time of when the nets will be open is set. There is unmonitored banding when, if you are free and you have a certified, you are a certified bander, you can open up your nets as long as you can handle all of them. You can go on those net checks, keep banding birds, and then close them at the end of the day. Because otherwise it becomes a threat.
Absolutely, it is. It is a menace. And these bands, you said, are metal bands. So they don't harm the bird at all.
Not at all. So the process has come to be after years and years of evolution of thought. So the nets that are there, they're super fine. They don't harm the bird at all. The band that is put, it is very, very light. I don't have the exact figure or the grams.
That's
but it is really light. It doesn't hamper anything in the bird's flight or survival or anything.
All right. So from June 2020 to May 2022, you founded the Climate Crew. It was a worldwide sustainability initiative. And as part of this project, you published interviews through the medium of podcasts, right? Again, how did it come about? Thoughts, initiatives?
I mean, for the sake of ease, it was very similar to this setting we are in. It's just that I was sitting in your seat, way less nervous than I am right now, because I was just interviewing them. Now I am the one being interviewed.
All right.
But it was this initiative that started where we interviewed professionals, professors, researchers, and multiple people from around the field on the topic of UN SDGs, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
All right.
So I think the season comprised of about 6 or 7 episodes where we had 6 or 7 different people talk about different UN SDGs.
From all around the world?
From all around the world. So started from, let's say, a researcher in the US to a professor of, let's say, environmental economics in the UK to even students from the Doon School who've passed out to, go and get into the field of wildlife ecology and everything. So it was great to know the actual work being done on field to mitigate things that we keep talking about, like the climate crisis or, conservation of biodiversity. So we were really hearing from people who are right there on the field and the people who we usually quote when we quote research, that research has been done. Those are the people who are doing that research. So to get to know about their work through them primarily was a delight. In fact, it was a really great experience for me too, because most of the people I was talking to, I look at myself in their position in about 10 years from now. So I really got a good insight into what I can look forward to.
Yes. Okay, apart from all the bird watching and, sustainability and everything, you are a Santoor player.
Yeah.
Yeah, you play the Santoor. And I've heard you play it. You're amazing at it.
Thank you. Thank you.
But what I want to know is that with all this college happening and, getting into bird banding, and I'm sure there's so much, and you go into the field, timings are odd. Do you still get time to play the Santoor? Or has it been put aside? And
Oh, no. I don't think I would ever like to put it aside altogether. I just say that
You'll be breaking a lot of hearts, by the way, if you do that.
There's a lot of expectation. So I would just say that I've just fell more in love with the things that I'm pursuing right now. So it just leaves a little less time for practicing the Santoor. Especially since I'm in Toronto now, it's difficult to find an instructor who I can keep learning from.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just practicing the things that I've learned before, or let's say self-learning by listening to artists all around the world. So it does take away a lot of time from the practices I used to have when I was at school. But I like telling people that this is, a lot of people recognize this because they keep pointing it out. So this nail, I've grown it only because it helps me tune the instrument. So for those at the audience who are unaware, the Santoor is an Indian classical instrument with 100 strings on it. So before we sit down to play it, we have to tune each string individually, and for that, this nail helps. Now, I don't think since the time I started playing the Santoor, I have entirely clipped this nail. It does get filed every day, but I would need it to tune it whenever I practice. And whenever I look at it, I know that it's
the Santoor is waiting.
The Santoor is waiting back there for me. Yeah. So this is what keeps me reminded, and definitely I will not be putting it aside anytime soon.
You should not, because and it's scientifically proven that music and nature are deeply connected.
Mm-hmm.
So
in fact, I have a story for that actually. So this was around sometime in my 10th grade. We were supposed to perform as a choir and orchestra, right? Now the orchestra and choir, everybody is ready inside, but my Santoor, because it has 100 strings, decides to get entirely detuned. So usually we tune the instrument, all instruments in fact, with the help of other instruments like the tanpura or the tanpura machine if you don't have the actual one. But that day what my teacher, Dr. Partharaj Chaudhary, did was he took me outside the room, and we were sitting out in the open. Okay. Outside the music school, which is very close to the khad that we go. Yeah. It's a huge...
It's basically into nature.
Yeah,
almost
just
like
into nature. Yeah. So he took me there, and without even the tanpura or a tanpura machine, he started tuning it.
Okay.
And I swear to God, that was the most purely tuned Santoor that I had played that day for practices.
Wow. And without any reference. Just, I think, what nature?
Just nature. Just around, there were squirrels chatting, there were birds singing, there were a few, because it was sunset time, there were jackals from the khad howling, and everything came to be so pure and just so resonating with my instrument that we didn't even need like a reference to tune it. And ended up being the greatest.
I'm getting goosebumps.
I see. Wow. So that is how interconnected it really
is.
That's the beauty of both of these things intertwined.
Amazing. I really hope you can keep practicing the Santoor.
Yeah.
Please don't give it up. Amazing at it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you were the orchestra head or something in school.
Yeah, so in 11th grade, I was the orchestra leader, and I was taking care of the people who play the instruments, the orchestra. And in my 12th grade, I was the school music captain, where I was taking care of both the orchestra and the choir entirely.
All right.
So yeah, that amounted to a lot of experience handling people, especially handling people who do music. And it was hands down the greatest experiences and the biggest of achievements I've had till date.
Wow. Excellent. Amazing. I hear that you have this rather unique talent of attracting owls
right.
by mimicking their calls. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And add to that you have this interest in rearing butterflies at home.
Yeah.
How does your family take to this?
Naturally, as we all know, butterflies and caterpillars are outside. Yeah. They're on trees that are not inside our house.
Absolutely. And the first stage is quite creepy also.
Yeah, the first stage is them just creeping around, trying to look for leaves, and they're not the best looking organisms out there. But of course, after a month of really waiting for them to get pretty, that is when a butterfly emerges, ecloses.
Yeah.
And that is when you know that all that wait of that 1 month was worth it.
But totally worth it.
But that entire 1 month, I'm being kept bugging. So there was this thing that how I started with butterfly rearing was I was in one of my bird walks just around my colony, and I came across this one tree where I think a swallowtail caterpillar was there. So I got in touch with a few professionals of how to rear them at home so that they, let's say, have a better survival chance, and I also get to see nature on my study table.
I need to get your mother on this couch.
She would have a really different perspective to what I've done, because I remember that at the time my sister and I used to share the room, and because I had so many creepy crawlies, as she used to call it, on my study shelf, more than the books, it drove her out to another room to shift to another room. So now I had the room to myself.
Wow.
And I was told by my mom that it's all right whatever you're doing, as long as all of these thingies don't get out of your room. So that was the initial reaction of my family. But as soon as the butterflies came out, I think all of them realized that it was worth it.
It was totally worth it.
Yeah, cleaning their poop every day and feeding them new leaves every day. It took a lot of hard work, but when they come out and they fly successfully.
Yeah, it pays off, absolutely. Yeah. And what about this mimicking of...
Right. So this is something that I used to do in school, actually, as a younger student than I am now, because then I got introduced to how unethical it might be for birds.
I was just going to question you on that one.
No. So I can, in fact, do it for the audience, but I've recently refrained from doing so. This is what I used to do when I was just a young bird watcher getting into, owling and looking for owls at night. That I used to mimic this owl species called the brown hawk owl. And it goes a little like this. I'll try to do it right now. It goes... Never mind. Needs a lot of practice. So that's pretty much what it sounds like.
Very close to
what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so at that time they used to be attracted and to get really good pictures, but then I've totally stopped doing it now.
Oh, no, I understand that, of course, yeah. But a lot of birders use, these voices or sounds. They play the sounds to get the bird out, to get better pictures. And sometimes it kind of disturbs their
there is
nesting.
There is a consensus in this scientific community that it is given that the bird ought to get distressed if it's a fake calling. I mean, it's just like you're chilling in your basement and then somebody just calls your name multiple times.
True.
And you look around to see that there's nobody actually of your species calling it out. So that would be a bugger for sure.
I know that. I totally understand that. Okay. All right. So you in 2021 you were awarded the title of Conservation Champion, right? And this is part of the WWF, which is the Worldwide Fund for Nature. The Young Conservationist Program. And you received an A grade for the basic course of ornithology by the Bombay Natural History Society. This is in 2020. And in the same year, you completed Prioritizing Species and Spaces, a 3-part course by National Geographic. And currently, you're enrolled in ornithology, comprehensive bird biology, and it's an online course by Cornell. Again, as part of the Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology, Am I missing anything? I mean, is that it? Or I'm sure the list goes on. Have I missed something?
I mean, more or less, that's pretty much the list,
Oh my God, young man, you have so much already.
Yeah.
I
mean, I keep looking out to learn. I keep looking out for opportunities that, give me the experience of being out in the field, more or less. And in fact, after...
Unsatiable.
That would be the word to call. Yeah. So I think I keep looking out for opportunities like that, and after I'm trained enough, I keep looking out for opportunities to tell other people or to teach other people what I have learned. And and I don't think I would have been able to continue doing whatever I chose to do after my exchange if it wasn't for the support of my parents, my family, my sister as well, and my teachers at school.
She moved out of the room?
Oh, yeah. She's a little intolerant, but the support is there. And my teachers at school, most definitely my batchmates and formmates, because it usually happens that when somebody takes over a rather unique thing to follow, it needs a lot of support to continue it.
True.
So I think when I went through my journey with bird watching and then banding and butterfly rearing and all of these things, I think the best thing was the support I had from all of these people to continue doing it. And I believe in some way or the other, I would like to believe that I am adding on to their lives as well.
Absolutely.
By exposing them to what they are around at all times. And they really
Rather, I would reframe this and say that you have, I'm sure, influenced them in some way. Maybe they are still not, conscious about it, but somewhere, in their mind, the beauty of nature, how it evolves, and how gentle you must have been with it. And, I'm sure somewhere it's made way.
Hopefully, and I'd like to believe
some impression.
I'd like to believe so.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that impression, because when I read about what your friends have to say about you, and, I've seen...
really kind.
So, no, of course. I can see the impression that you made on them. And I just hope that somewhere down the line, somewhere in their age, when they grow up or maybe with their children or somewhere, they can pass it on to them.
Hopefully.
Yeah, they can
that is
spread it around.
that is what is needed as of now for all of us to, work towards.
Absolutely. So currently you're pursuing your study in ecology, right? Would you like to share your future plans with our audience?
Sure. So this is ought to be the most difficult question of the entire lot, because when I started bird watching as a hobby around 8 or 9 years ago, I really didn't think that it would bring me here. That I'm really getting into the study of birds and animals and ecology in totality. So it is really difficult to say where it would take me in the next, let's say, 10 years, but I can only plan for it.
Yeah.
So currently I'm as you mentioned, an undergraduate at the University of Toronto, and I'm doing Ecology and Evolutionary Biology along with Biodiversity and Conservation Biology.
Okay.
And in the future, I haven't really decided if I want to continue working in Canada or come back to India. But if I had a choice and I was particularly working on the fauna of either of the places, I would 100% choose India. Because
so I hope you choose that.
As we both know, it is really, really rich, the flora and fauna that India holds. And I would definitely like to...
I think there's no comparison to what India has.
Probably not. And all the research, even banding for that matter, everything is really in its infancy right now. And I believe if I'm to come back, I would really like to bring all of these things with me.
True.
Let's say if it is in Canada, let's say it's about governmental organizations or NGOs, then maybe I work a few years in Canada, get the experience there, and hope to bring something back in India. But that's the difficult part of it, that it is really not set.
No, I agree that, we don't know what is, written or where future takes you.
Exactly.
I can say this from the audience who are listening, that we hope that you gain a lot of knowledge and you can bring it back to India so that we can make, we can bring about change.
Right.
Yeah. And there's so much to be done. Mm-hmm. And a passionate person like you, and at such a young age, you've already achieved so much. So I hope that you can, learn, yes, gain knowledge, yes. But I do hope that you can bring it back to India and bring about that change.
Definitely.
Thank you, Vedant. It was so nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure talking to you. And I just hope that the audience there get a message that age is certainly no bar. It's you're 19 and you've already achieved so much. And with the passion that you speak with and, the go-getting spirit. Yeah. So people who are just sitting there waiting for the right time or the age, no, there's no right time, there's no right age. Go do it now.
Yeah.
Also, Vedant, we have a small memento to give you as part of a small thank you note for being on the show. Yeah. So, Vedant, this is a photograph that I've clicked. This is recently clicked photograph from Pune. These are flamingos against the sunset. Yeah. So I hope you like this.
Thank you.
It's a small memento from our side. Yeah. And thank you for being on our podcast, Migrating Occult by Innoyasur.